Alright, so before we even get into the review, I actually want to let you guys see this real quick video I made for you guys. Just talking about the, Royalty London Apparel. They gave me this shirt, this jacket, all that stuff. Check out the video real quick, and then we'll get back to the review in a moment. Hey guys, just want to let you guys know to check out Royalty London Apparel. They're the ones who gave me this sweet jacket, bam, like that. And I just wanted you guys to check them out because as I'm doing this right now, I'm actually doing a giveaway with them. I'm not sure if the giveaway will be continued by the time this video gets uploaded. But still, just let you know that me and them like to work together a lot. They gave me this cool jacket, this shirt, some other hats. And, for those who are going to complain about me doing ads and product placement, whatever, we all got to make a living. And they don't pay me, actually. They gave me free stuff, and, I don't really have any morals or soul, so why not? Woof! Alright, so I guess that little gag is not going to be worth it. Can't even see out of that thing, and you guys couldn't even hear me, so that would have been a really bad review. You guys couldn't hear a single thing I said. Well, what's up everybody, it's me, the Nerdy Hero. I'm here to do the review for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. The prequel that's not a sequel to the original, but it's a reboot and not a sequel. No, wait, what is it again? Hold on. What? It's a prequel to the originals, but it's a sequel to the prequels. Got it, okay, yep. Anyway, so where do I start with this movie? Obviously, it's going to be telling the story that was told in the opening crawl of Episode 4 about the Rebel spies that got the plans for the Death Star. What was the story behind that? What really happened? And it's the first spin-off movie that Disney/Lucasfilm is doing in this new universe that they've used with Star Wars. So we still have the episode film, the episodic ones, Episode 8 coming out next year. But in between, every 2 years, you're going to have a solo movie. So you can hold Solo. We do have Han Solo coming in next year. Or 2 years from now, regardless, besides that. Alright, so where do I start now? Obviously, basically the whole movie can be summed up in the opening crawl of Episode 4. Rebel spies, steal the Death Star plans, big win of the Galactic Rebellion or whatever. The whole opening crawl sums up the whole movie, basically. You got the plans, the Rebel spies get them. In the movie, in Episode 4, you see a lot of people die getting these plans, and this movie shows it. They don't hold back. The tone of this movie is just brutal. They don't hold back from anything, and it's so much darker than Episode 7 or anything else that I've seen recently of Disney. Like, I still call them Disney because they're Disney owned, but it is Lucasfilm regardless. This movie has like a bittersweet ending. It's pretty hard to watch sometimes, but it's definitely a war movie. You look at Saving Private Ryan or Black Hawk Down, movies like that, and there's sacrifice, there's war, there's bloodshed, and both sides do things that they're not going to be proud of. Obviously, we have a side that we have to root for, in this case being the rebels. But even in this movie, they show that the rebels are not so squeaky clean that like they were portrayed in the original films. They have to do some pretty messed up things in this movie. I really have to learn to turn the cell phone off. I lost my place. So this movie was directed by Gareth Edwards, and he did Godzilla. A lot of people are 50-50 with Godzilla because he held back Godzilla so much. I actually like the movie, but we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about Rogue One. So with Rogue One, he did an awesome job. Basically, this movie feels like it is right before Rogue One. You feel like it even ends right into Rogue One. That's how fast it is. This movie feels like it's Star Wars, but not just like how Episode 7 felt like it was Star Wars. This feels like it's happening at the same time as Episode 4. You have the same technology, the same clumsy stormtroopers, but they're still very menacing in this movie. You can't make them too dumb. but they feel like they're still the same stormtroopers you see in episode 4. You know, they can't aim right, and you know, if you make them too hardcore in this movie, then you go to episode 4, it doesn't really click. So that's good that they kind of get a good mesh in there, a good mix. You're also going to have the fact that the technology used, you know, some of the screens are used, even some of the shots used look exactly like the shots that were in episode 4 and so on and so forth. It feels like it's right in there with the rest of those movies. You know, episode 7 feels like it's Star Wars, but it feels like it's like episode 7 is like what, 20, 30 years in the future? Right? Whatever. It's like, yeah, whatever amount of time passed. So it's in the future of what's going on right now. So this one feels like it's right in there with them. And some of the characters you got Ben Mendelsohn as Krennic, who plays, was he a director? Krennic or General Krennic? I don't remember. He plays Orson Krennic, who has a relationship with Galen Erso, played by Mads Mikkelsen. He's very intimidating, and he's a good villain, if you want to call him that in this movie. But if you look at him as a character by himself, all he's trying to do is get into the inner circle where Tarek and Vader and the Emperor, that little triangle, little love triangle that they have going on right there. That's what he's trying to get into. And they just use him. They, you know, at one point, no, I can't say, that's a spoiler. I can't say that just yet. I'll say it later. Anyway, that's basically his whole goal. He wants to prove himself. And that, as he does everything humanly possible to do so, they just keep pushing him to the side. So you kind of feel bad for him. Even I said, there's one point in the movie where they take something that he made, I'll say it like that, I'll say it later in the review, they take something that he made and you feel bad for him, you know, because he works so hard. So you kind of see where his angle is coming from for why he is who he is and what he does. And then you're also going to have Diego Luna, who plays Captain Cassian, who he's one of the first Rebels people we meet in the movie, and right off the bat, he does a thing right in the beginning that makes you realize this guy is not a good guy, or is he a good guy? He's a bad guy. What is he? And basically, like I said earlier, it shows the tone. This is a war movie. People are going to make decisions and do things they're not going to be proud of, and you see that right off the bat with Cassian. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty. Next character, obviously, is going to be the main character, Felicity Jones, playing Jyn Erso, who is Galen Erso's daughter. And by the way, Galen Erso, who is Mads Mikkelsen, is playing the guy who basically had made up the technology to create the Death Star, or the weapon, to weaponize the Death Star, basically, is what he did. So that's why he got recruited against his will, pretty much. So now we're going to have the story of Jyn Erso, which takes place 20 years later, 15, 16 years later, I don't know. And with that, it's her story as she starts to learn what happened to her father and then how she searches for him. That's her angle in the story. And some other characters like Danny Yen playing Chirrut. I don't know how to say his name. He's basically like, he's not a Jedi, but he's connected to the Force. As you see in episode 7, they talked about how, what's her name there? The Oompa Loompa in episode 7 is connected to the Force in her own way.
I am no Jedi, but I know the Force.
You can sense it. Some people have the ability to sense it. So there's this character that Donnie Yen plays, and he is awesome. He's actually one of the coolest characters in the movie. But basically, all the characters in the movie are great. Alan Tudyk playing the droid K2SO. Man, remember during the marketing of the trailer, I didn't like him. I felt like he was like, if anybody in the squad here was gonna, you know, like inform or be the traitor in any way possible, I felt like it would have been the droid. I feel like that would have been an interesting aspect. But no, he wasn't. He was really funny, really like genuine with his comments, because he just spoke whatever he was thinking or computing, whatever you want to call it. And it was interesting to have him and how he, bonds with the crew. Another character was Saw Gerrera, played by Forrest Whitaker, who is a character from the animated series. And they brought him in, and I was pretty okay with him. I thought he was a little loony, a little weird. How he was very extremist, and they call him an extremist in the movie. And they also give you pretty much a tease as to why he's a little weird. I'm assuming that was a tease. What he kind of explained kind of messed with your mind. I'm assuming he must have did whatever that thing was a few times. Either way, I'm not too familiar with his character in the animated series, so maybe he was always a little weird. So it's a lot of the characters right there, without getting into more spoiler stuff. But besides that, the movie I personally loved it. I was at the whole last act, I was on the edge of my seat, just like eating it all up. And I went with a huge group of friends. We bought like 15 tickets, and we were in the first, the second and third row. We were right up in the screen because the whole theater was sold out. So we got like the 15 seats in the front and second and third row. And one of the girls that was there, she sat next to me. She was sitting there, and I could hear her and her boyfriend chit-chatting during the movie because I could tell he was explaining things to her. And then I would look up, I would be watching the movie, and I would hear her like gasp, or cheer or go, oh, all that stuff. Like she was in the movie. So to hear her react to the movie like that, I thought it was interesting. And the funny thing about her is that she's never seen a Star Wars movie in her life, so it was actually refreshing to see someone experience it for the first time. And she loved it. She wanted to see more. And this movie ends so well that she could just jump right into episode 4 and 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, episode 7, so on and so forth. She's in. And it was a really good jumping off point for someone just starting off. So it's great to see that, and a new fan basically. Certain scenes did get cut from the trailers actually that I noticed, and I was reading a review online. Actually, I was reading whatever, and I believe it was on Collider Movie Talk. And the guy had said that the trailer that showed Jyn Erso walking on the top of the tower on the antenna or whatever, and that a TIE fighter comes up in front of her. It's a really hype moment, and the trailer cuts. They don't have that in the movie at all, and they have some other stuff that happens on top of the tower, but that scene is cut. And I was listening to the guy on the movie talk, and he talked about how he knows somebody, or someone told him how that scene was cut because what actually happens in that scene is the TIE fighter comes up. It's just a generic TIE fighter, no one special, and then X-Wing comes and blows out of the sky, and the scene continues on from there. That they cut it. The reason that they cut it was because it felt like it was too repetitive as to the moment they just had with the AT-AT and the X-Wing coming and saving everybody. So if you hear about it like that, you're like, oh, okay, it's a good reason to cut it, and it didn't seem like it was too important. Like I said, other stuff happens on the antenna or the tower or whatever that makes it seem just as cool anyways. Alright, this movie does have lots of Easter eggs in it. I've only was able to see a couple. A lot of them, there's actually a few towards Star Wars Rebels, including the ship. I believe it's called the Ghost. I don't watch Rebels. I really should. I don't have time. But anyway, the Ghost is in the final battle, which, by the way, the final battle, oh, I can't get enough. The third act of the movie is so good. Oh, I want to see this movie again so bad. Anyway, so that ship is there. There's a couple other Easter eggs towards Rebels themselves, and Rebels TV show, and some of the rest of them I couldn't even see, and I have to watch the movie again, look up, research, all that stuff. Alright, but now, no movie is perfect, so this movie does have negatives aspect to it. And that's the first thing I'm going to talk about is the score. The score of the movie, it was not good at all. I didn't like it. It felt off. It didn't feel like it fit. It was Michael Giacchino and score. He's done other movies that have been really good, with score and music and all that. So I don't want to blame him. At the same time, he's the one who worked on it and made the score. And right in the beginning of the movie, I'm just like, I don't feel it. I don't know. And apparently, it's being reported that he only had 4 weeks to work on it. Like, that's it. Just go. So I'm like, okay, I guess I can understand. It's one of the negatives of the film. But again, I like the movie so much that I can oversee it, look over it. Another thing was the first act of the movie. First act, because I talked so much about the third act, but the first act, when you're being introduced to these new characters and introduced into this new version of the world that you're of Star Wars, it's very choppy and the pacing is a little off. Like, it's fast-paced a little bit, and I don't like fast pacing. It's one of my biggest pet peeves in movies. It's a lot choppy, jumping back and forth, but by second act, it slows down, which some people say the second act is one of their negatives as well because it slows down too much. The second act didn't bother me at all. I thought it allowed me to absorb more of what I just saw for the first act because it was very fast-paced. So I like that it slows down and just kind of like builds it up, and then once you get to the third act, it's just like, oh snap, we gotta go. The next thing is the opening crawl. Yeah, there was no opening crawl for this movie. That's the thing, and that's okay with me for a spin-off movie. But I believe that this movie would have really, really done well with an opening crawl of all the movies, basically, because this one, a lot of people, even on our way to the movie theater, I look at all my friends, I'm like, okay, does anybody have any questions about this movie? Because most of my friends that I go to movies with aren't nerds at all, or they're more general audience members, so good for them. Another thing that I hated this part, was the way the movie opens. So there's no opening crawl. It says, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Music builds up and boom, you're in space. That was very jarring, but I liked it because it's like it slaps you in the face. Like, there's no opening crawl. This is very different. So that one was jarring, but I liked it. So I understood that one. And then you have some stuff going on, and then the music builds up, and it hits you with the opening title about 5 minutes later. And the opening title looked horrible. I don't know why. It just bugged me. I didn't like it at all. I don't know why. It just looked really cheap. And I guess maybe that's one of the things that they shoehorned in there last minute. I don't know. For some reason I didn't like it. And I believed not just the way it looked, but I feel like also the timing was off when the music kind of kicked up, coming up, and then just bam, Rogue One, and then just cuts again, and we're back to the story. And it was weird. It was off-putting. But all that aside, I really, really like this movie. Can I score it on the top of which one's my favorite Star Wars movie? Better Episode 7, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back, all those, Episode 2. Kidding. Relax. Everybody calm down. Anyway, where can I put this movie on that list? I don't know. But what do I rank this movie by itself? Just on that third act alone, I'm gonna give this movie a 9.5. I don't know. It's just, I have those really bad negatives, but they're like moments, they're little pet peeve moments, a little bit of pacing in the beginning, a crappy title, the music was a little bit off. It wasn't horrible music, it was a little bit off. But everything else was solid. I liked the movie that much. It was a 9.5. That's it, Alright, so now that we have that out of the way, let's talk some spoilers. So there's a spoiler warning right there. Let's get into it. First thing first. Everybody dies. Dead. Bam. I can't believe they did that. Well, I can believe it and I expected it. But they did it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. That just brings you right back to what I said earlier. The tone of this movie, it's heavy-handed. It just shows that they really wanted to go with this tone of, war. And there were reshoots to the movie. They had a lot of reshoots, and a lot of movies have reshoots. It's not the biggest problem in the world. Some movies have had their almost 80% of the movie reshot, and movies sometimes come out okay because of that. Like, Fast and Furious and World War Z. There's some examples right there. So besides that, the movie had a lot of reshoots, and they said that because the movie was too dark and they wanted to add some more levity or just change up the way the angle, the shot, the story. I don't know why they had the reshoots. People can have reports and rumors all day long, but this is what they came out with for the version that we. But regardless of all that, this is what we got, and it was awesome. And the fact that everybody dies is just so. That's like I talked about in the beginning of the review. It's a bittersweet movie, and it hurts. It hurts to see these characters that you watched progress and learn about, especially with Jin and Cassian. And with Cassian, you learn so much about these characters, and then you just watch them die. And the way those two specifically went out was very, it was a beautiful shot. My gosh, when they had the Death Star shoot the lasers, and the way they just showed all the destruction on Jeddah, and obviously on this planet, whatever it was called. It was amazing to watch. And people, I've not seen any complaints about the fact that they didn't destroy any planets, because Alderaan was supposed to be the first example of the full capability of the Death Star. So with that, I never expected them to destroy any planets in this movie. So when they kept talking about we're just gonna use one thruster or one engine, whatever, I'm like, okay, so they just want to show some power when they destroy Jeddah, or when the rebels are attacking the base and they want to just get rid of the base. They just want to do that. They don't want to destroy the whole planet. So with that, I get that. You don't want to take away from episode 4 if you destroy a planet. In this one, you take away from episode. But regardless of all that, when they did shoot Jeddah and the planets and stuff, it was just the massive amount of destruction, just woof. Like when they zoom out from the planet and you see it from space, it's like the size of Africa, like the hole it leaves, or the size of the United States. If you want to give a reference, it's just massive shockwave. Oh, let's not talk about the big man himself when he shows up. First of all, he shows up in his little castle of doom. He's got his little Bowser castle like it's Mario Kart or something. He shows up, and what planet was that? Because all the planets in this movie were all new planets, and they all had tags on the bottom left of the screen. It showed all the names. But when you get to Darth Vader's castle, they don't say anything. And then I'm looking and I'm like, this looks like Mustafar from episode 3. This must be Mustafar. He would have a connection to it because this is where he killed. This is where he attacked Obi-Wan, kind of killed Padme in a way. And obviously this is where he's kind of technically reborn as Darth Vader. This had to be Mustafar, and why they didn't tag it, some people say maybe is because they wanted to show it as a surprise that Darth Vader lives here, so they didn't have a tag on the bottom left saying Mustafar. But it had to be that plan. It had to be. It's the only thing we recognize. For bringing him back to life, the way he sounded, moved, acted, how he, like I said earlier in the review, how I couldn't talk about how, and obviously some big moments in this movie. Tarkin was in here. The actor for Tarkin died 20 years ago. They had him in this movie, and him and Leia, obviously Leia was in here too, and more so with Leia you could see the CGI more, but with Tarkin you can see it too. And people are gonna complain about the CGI. Hello, do you see the magic that they just performed in front of your eyes, bringing a character back from the dead, bringing a character and an actor back from the dead, and using voodoo Hollywood magic to recreate a 19-year-old Carrie Fisher. I mean, people complain all day long. That was amazing. The way that these characters look. And Tarkin, I expected one scene with Tarkin if he was in the movie at all. He shows up, I see the one scene, and next thing you know, he's back again, and he's back. He came back like 2 or 3 scenes. 2 or 3, 4 scenes he was in, and he's always talking, he's moving around. I'm like, this doing so much CGI, this must have cost so much money. Disney's just throwing money at somebody takes something away from Krennic. It's this moment where Tarkin takes the Death Star away. Basically, he takes command of it. He goes, you did a good job, it's working, I'm gonna take control now, and I'm gonna assume all the credit. And you're like, whoa! That's when you start to feel for Krennic a little bit, So Tarkin is just, he comes in and he does so much in this movie. Well, he doesn't do so much, but he does. He has a really big presence in the film, and a lot more than I expected. It was really cool to see him come back. Leia at the end was just, it was cherry on top of the whole movie. People, I don't care what anybody says about the CGI, it was good enough. Like, give you 80% or 90% on a test, and that's still a pass. This was that. This was that. This was, if you can want to look at Ant-Man or Civil War with Tony Stark, Ant-Man with having Michael Douglas, or Tron, not a good example. Yeah. Benjamin Button, whatever. You can rate those any level thing. This one I give like an 80, 90, I'll give it a 90%, even with Leia, of how good the CGI was when it comes to bringing these characters back. So I don't care what anybody says. Loved it. It was awesome. Obviously, there was also the reference of Obi-Wan by Organa, who reprised his role right before saying he's about to go to Alderaan. You're like, oh, dude, R.I.P. man. Man, peace out, man. Live long and prosper. Oh. No! Wrong franchise. Awkward. Anyway, so they reference Obi-Wan, and actually as I'm watching the movie, I've heard other people talk about this too, actually, so it wasn't just me. The way that they reference Obi-Wan and then cut to talking about Leia in that quick moment, like that. She goes, are you sure she can be trusted? I would trust her with my life. He's talking about Leia, but because they were just talking about Obi-Wan, but they didn't say Obi-Wan, said a Jedi, and then they talk about I would trust her with my life. People did not see that switch, so they thought when trust her with her life and Jedi, they think, oh man, Osaka. Am I saying it right? Oh. Anyway, she must be still alive. I'm like, no, I doubt it. I doubt she's still alive. Maybe she's alive, but she cannot be alive by the time Luke becomes the Last Jedi. He's titled the Last Jedi. Osaka, Osana, Banana, whatever. He was talking about Leia at that moment, not her. Next, the last thing. Oh my god. Oh, this was so good. When it's like a horror movie. Oh man, they just massacred. This is Darth Vader that we want to see. Oof. You see the fear. He comes in at the end of the movie. They're chasing the plans, and he's like, I'm gonna do a boarding party. He gets in there, and you think the movie could cut right now. It could not. I don't know. He gets on that ship, and it shows these guys like trying to open the door. They got the plans in their hands. All right, dude, I can't open the door. I can't open the door. And then all you hear is just. And everyone just slowly turns around, and they're stuck in this room, this little hallway, looking at the dark side of the room. And you know, they take their guns out and they're pointing it, and then just you're looking into the distance, you're looking into the darkness. You see them, the light turns on, the lightsaber. You see him holding a lightsaber, and you look at the guys, and they're just like, oh god. And they just start shooting, and Darth Vader is like with no effort, just walking forward. Not doing these crazy stunts or anything like that, because like I said, you want to still have it connect to episode 4, 5, and 6, where Darth Vader doesn't move like that. He's very just stern, and so as he's walking, he's just block, grabs a guy, slams him against the wall, grabs another guy, chokes him, throws him up in the ceiling, blocks another blaster that shoots the guy who's stuck in the ceiling, and it just keeps going. The guy's trying to open the door in the back. He's like, here, you just take the plans. The other guy on the other side of the door takes the plans right in time where you cut to the other side of the door. You see a lightsaber come through the door. That door suddenly opens, and then you go through another hallway. This guy runs. It's like a chase scene, but Darth Vader's just walking. Like, it's straight up Michael Myers. That's how scary this thing is. Darth Vader's just walking, slicing dudes up. And this one guy with the plans is running. You know, the hallways turn from black to gray to white, and you're thinking, wait a minute, the way these guys are dressed, the white walls. Oh, I know where we are. And next you know, he turns, gives the plans to Leia, who's turned around, or gives them to Captain Antilles, or whatever his name was, who's there again, obviously. Who's about to get killed in the beginning of episode 4, so goodbye to that guy. So with that, he gives the plans away. The next you know, you zoom out, you're outside the Corvette class ship, which drops and then takes off into light speed. And you know, you see that it's Leia in there. The whole movie ends just like that. Darth Vader is standing, which I'm assuming it was the docking bay of the Corvette class, and I don't see a shield blocking the opening of the entrance. So I believe Darth Vader was just standing in open space. Just literally, he's in space, just standing there with a lightsaber. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool shot. In the end, that's how the movie ends, and it's just beautiful. I don't care what anybody says. CGI was awesome on those, you know, characters that Leia and Tarkin that they brought back. The movie was awesome. A lot of cool action. I could watch that third act over and over and over again. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time, just like, oh my gosh. Character after character starts dying. You're like, oh, here we go. Check them off. Done. I gave this movie a 9.5 for a reason, guys. This movie is awesome. You guys need to watch it. I don't care if you don't even like Star Wars. It's a good war film. So I need you guys to go check this movie out. Alright, so guys, let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the movie, what you like. If you liked the review, let me know in the comments. Also, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, all that usual stuff. And as always, guys, remember, keep it nerdy.
And they say that a hero can save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. Whoa.
What's up, everybody? It's me, the Nerdy Hero. Just reminding you guys to check out tpublic.com so you can check out all my latest Nerdy Hero shirts and gear, as well as to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can check out my latest videos. And always, guys, remember, keep it nerdy.